My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be John and Lewis Carroll, the first chapter. So here is my book, John and Lewis Carroll, Wonder Fall. There's a picture there of John in his backyard. I'll read the summary in a moment. And a door opens up, and there are some faces down in the dark, I guess you could say. Here's the summary on the back of the cover. As John the writer sits beside his pond, polishing a chapter of his new book, a door opens up in the grass, and the characters from Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass peer up at him from the darkness. John tumbles down through a hole in the ground to Wonderland, where the characters are busy rehearsing scenes for a third Alice book. Now, there's only been 2 Alice books. And so this would be a new Alice book, a third Alice book, which they hope John will persuade their author to write. But what if their author, Lewis Carroll, has other ideas? So that's the plot, the mystery, you might say, of my book. As the summary explains, John is sitting in his backyard when a door appears and opens up. And the characters from the 2 existing Alice books, Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, appear to John and pull him down by some strange process into the world of Wonderland. That happens in chapter 2. In chapter 1 of this book, John is just living his normal everyday life prior to the door opening up beside him. So let's have a look at what John considers to be normal by listening to his thoughts in chapter 1. Now, I want to hold up one other book because I will refer to it in chapter 1. This is, maybe a little hard to see, but I'll move it around a bit, The Annotated Alice, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and Through the Looking Glass, 2 books by Lewis Carroll, and a picture from the original edition there on the cover. There's also an elastic, because inside it says J. Passfield, J for John, Kingston, that's Kingston, Ontario, Canada, 1970. That was the first summer that I didn't have to either work or take a course, and therefore I was free to read. And so one of the books I read was Alice in Wonderland. So this book is 55 years old, and the elastic is holding it together because glue gets fragile, I guess you'd say. Glue dries out, and the pages can fall out of a book. But I'll refer to that book as I read from chapter 1 of John sitting in his backyard, polishing a book that he's just finished. And here it is, chapter 1. Easter's coming soon, one of the special times of the year. The kids will bring their kids to decorate the house and hunt the gardens and bushes for Easter eggs. My wife used to love these times, these special days throughout the year. Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and even Valentine's, with all the children on high alert for every enchanting surprise. She would decorate the house from stem to stern. Easter makes me think of rabbits. Now we no longer have a dog, they enjoy the free run of the lawn. And rabbits make me think of Lewis Carroll. Sitting out on the lawn beside the pond, a little table beside my chair with my drink and my paper and my pens, polishing a chapter. A gentle breeze, blue sky, warming sun, grass turning greener day by day. All the benefits of moving into spring. Glanced at my copy of Alice in Wonderland the other day, J. Passfield, 1970, Kingston. My first summer without the need of a summer job. I read novels while my wife went to summer school. She always loved the daffodils, the marigolds as well. I drove down to the lake this morning and tossed a jagged pebble into the water and brought a smooth one back and tossed it into our pond. The first spring, the first Easter that she won't be here to see. Got a biography of Lewis Carroll out of the library. I always wonder about the lives that authors lead. Rather dull, rather quiet, rather bland. His life was not all that different, I would say, from mine. I love to get up early with the sun coming up at dawn. Sat all winter at the window, reading or writing, polishing too, bundling up and going outside and firing up the snowblower and sculpting the snow. Thinking of Lewis Carroll. Vivid imagery in a dull brain? I wouldn't think so. Dull imagery in a vivid brain makes no sense at all. Oh, sitting outside at the turn of the weather. Spring is always a breath of fresh air. Water in the ditches, plenty of rain and the grass growing green. Chipmunks, robins, squirrels, the ducks that I feed every day. I see the occasional rabbit, very shy, very skittish, only a glimpse for a moment or two. Thinking of the characters from Alice in Wonderland, every image in every brain has a reason for being there. Every image has an ideal sense of the self. Every image is engaged in mortal combat. Every image is busily building a myth, M-Y-T-H. Every image is building a pyramid of ideas. Sitting beside the pond and thinking, only a few more weeks of polishing, then I'll be ready to choose a new topic to work on full time. Always nice to have a book finished. Always eager to plunge right back inside the writing process again. Sitting here and polishing my novel. Sitting here thinking of Wonderland. Sitting here with a head filled with images. Hopping like rabbits through the backyard of my brain. So that's chapter 1. Chapter 1 takes place in the mind of John, one of the characters of this book. I would call him the main character, as he's present in every chapter of the book, while the other characters are not. Lewis Carroll will be present in 4 chapters of thought in the mind of the main character, me, John. And the Wonderland characters will all be present in chapter 2, the chapter in which the door opens up in John's backyard. And each will get a chapter of thought in the dream section of the novella, chapters 2 to 8. But John's the only character who will appear in all 10 chapters. I've not read every word of chapter 1. I've only read 6 sections of thought in the mind of John as he sits in his backyard and polishes the book that he has just finished writing. Between each of these 6 segments of thought in the backyard situation, there are 5 segments of the imagery by which John is generating the thoughts that might very well give him the next work of fiction. So, chapter 1 is a combination of John's situation at present. He's sitting in his backyard with a drink and a manuscript and blank paper and pens and wondering what kind of book he'll write next when his current writing project has come to an end, and his deeper thoughts about the book Alice in Wonderland. Chapter 1 presents some mystery. Will John choose a topic from among the suggested topics in his notebook that will be inspired by the Alice books that he's rereading after having read them first so many years ago? And a further mystery might well be as to the nature of such a book. Is John more intrigued by the characters of the Alice world, which we can label as fantasy characters, or by the character of the writer who created that world, Lewis Carroll? And if you fancy yourself an amateur detective, a Poirot or a Sherlock Holmes, perhaps the other imagery of chapter 1, the imagery that I didn't read a moment ago, the imagery of the 5 segments of thought that interlayer the 6 segments of thought that I did read, might hold a clue as to what will be the nature of John's next book. So, once again, here is my book, John and Lewis Carroll, Wonderfall. It's found on Amazon where there's more information. My publisher's website is roxmillspress.com, and there's more information about the book there. And at my website, John Passfield, all one word, johnpassfield.ca, there's 2 books. There's a planning notebook in which I planned and wrote this story, and there's a journal in which I reflected on it as I was polishing it for a month or 6 weeks. So if you're interested in the background of this book, have a look at those 2 books, which are free. You just go to my website, johnpassfield.ca, and click on the cover icon, and the book will pop up on the screen. There's 2 books, a planning notebook and a journal, both free to read. And lastly, thank you for watching this video.